Hello, and nobody is going to join us because we haven't actually started yet. So I mean, we're started, but we're not shared anywhere.
Right. That goes much faster.
So, how has your week been?
Um, you know, I finished up a theater program, so that was busy. Um, I don't think I'm telling any secrets out of class when I say that this was not my best work ever. Um,
So, what was the show?
Into the Woods, Stephen
Into the
Sondheim.
Wood. Okay.
So, I think by many estimations, probably the most accessible of his musicals. Um,
Okay.
but still, like he's known for making musical theater that is not exactly guaranteed to please the masses. So, um, just the music is frequently more challenging in its harmonies. And like, I have way less generous ways of phrasing that, but we'll leave it
Yeah.
at that. Um, you wouldn't know most of his songs. I don't think you would refer to as pretty or
Okay.
you know. So it's technically very interesting music. From what I understand, it's a ton of fun to perform
Okay.
um, once you get it down. But um, it's just it's not what appeals to the mass market,
Yeah.
at least in my
You
estimation.
see, you're saying all these words, and my mind is just building dissonant, just
Um,
chaos.
well, like
And I'm pretty sure that's not the case, but
it's not chaos. Like it's not completely atonal or anything like that. But like asking singers to do like minor thirds is just awful things to do to them. Um,
okay.
you know, if you've never listened to any Sondheim, take a listen. It's interesting for a little while, and you may find that you love it because there are people that absolutely do. I am not one of them. I'm on record as not being a fan of
Yeah.
Sondheim musicals. Um,
And I thought of that when he passed, what, 2, 3 months ago?
yep,
Was it even
yep.
that long ago now? I don't
Um,
even know. I know it
yeah,
was
it's been
a
that,
couple
been about
months.
that.
I was
Um,
like, oh yeah, Chris doesn't like him.
I mean,
that's
he
that's my
was
only impression.
right. He's hugely influential in the musical theater world, and rightfully so. Like he did a lot of things that really changed the way musical theater is received and performed. Um, but um, not my cup of tea. I think that
Okay.
the vast majority of the theater going audience would probably agree with that. Although within like the more core audience or more core group of like musical theater aficionados, he is well loved. So, um,
No,
and
he has a lot, a large
he does,
catalog.
he does.
But
He he's also like I will go on record as saying like he is one of the most talented, if not the most talented lyricist, um, maybe ever to have lived. Um, like his lyrics are amazing, and like never ceased to be so. Um, and like while I don't love his stuff, I can acknowledge there's something kind of cool about um, doing a show completely based on the presidential assassins of the United States, right? And all of the musical themes in that show are based around "Hail to the Chief."
okay.
So, like the sheer level of technical capability and talent that you have to to pull that off is crazy. But um, and some people love it. I don't. Um, I will say that one of my favorite songs in the world was written by him. He wrote Send in the Clowns, which is from a show called A Little Night Music. It's a great number. And like most things in A Little Night Music, it kind of feels like it doesn't belong there. Um, I think most people's, maybe not most people, but a lot of people have said something along the lines of, this feels like a show where he took a bunch of songs that he had and kind of mashed them together and wrote a couple other things to string it together and make a story. Which, given his rate of productivity, it wouldn't shock me if that happened at least
Okay.
once in his career.
This is a clear out the notebook kind of show.
Kind of, yeah. Like, I got these things, I don't know what to do with them. Let's throw something together. Um, but anyway, Into the Woods is a retelling of some classic fairy tales, um, all mashed together. So it has Cinderella, it has um, Jack and the Beanstalk, it has Little Red Riding Hood, and then it blends in kind of a new subplot with a baker and his wife. But Rapunzel's in there. There are references made to Snow White and Sleeping Beauty. Um,
Mm.
I'm I'm pretty sure I'm missing at least one other one, but it it kind of mashes them all
Basically,
up together.
it's a medley of the Brothers Grimm.
Yeah, and it like it's dark, and then like it turns a corner and it gets weird and dark, and um, I wouldn't say that it has like the happiest of endings, but also like it's it's a weirdly good ending for like given the content. Um, so also it's famous for having when it premiered on Broadway. Apparently, um, it's a relatively long show, and the end of the first act feels like it is the end of a show. Right? It's like, oh hey, happy ending, yay! So audiences completely new to the material got to the end of the first act and said, oh, it's over,
That was
packed up
short.
and left. And there's a story of Stephen Sondheim running out into the streets going, it's not over. There's more.
All right,
So,
all right.
anyway, enough about musical theater. That was a lot of work, took a lot of time. I'm done with
Yes.
that. Now I can get back to my, I would say my regular life, but I don't know that I have one of those.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things have changed.
Indeed.
The new job and everything.
New
So,
job.
oh,
Month
excuse
in,
me.
um, interesting environment. Um, and wherever you go, uh, things are different and they're also the same, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just different problems. Um, I would say
Yeah.
that they
I
seem to
think a
be
lot of places have the same problems
right,
or variations thereof, or
right,
they're piled together slightly differently. It's same
exactly.
cloth, different quilt.
Um, you know, there's varying degrees on any theme, right? Like, um, do you have people that are used to doing work one particular way and don't really want to change, um, or there are other obstacles to change? There's always some kind of industry um, conundrum, right? Like if you're in retail, PCI becomes a huge issue, right? If you're in healthcare, it's HIPAA.
Mhm.
If you're in banking, like it's fiduciary things. Um, Basically, everybody's got some version of SOX. If you're dealing, if like you're a military or a government contractor, you might be having to deal with whatever weirdness mil spec is today. Um, so, like, that's always a
High
component of it,
trust. What else?
right? Um,
Uh,
I think you might say, okay, well, if you're a manufacturer of paper plates, maybe you don't have to deal with any of that, but you still do. There's something out there that's regulating you in some weird way.
almost
Um,
certainly.
and there's always technology issues. Is the company willing to spend enough money on tech? Um, is there a mix of uh, investment in capital and capex, opex, and payroll correct. Even if it is, like, have you made the right investments in the right places? Um, Siloing within departments, cross training issues. Like, the list can go on, right?
Yeah.
Um, and there's no place that's perfect. If somebody finds one, don't let anybody else know because they'll all want to work there.
Yeah.
Um,
I see. I don't know if I would. It would probably be boring.
yeah, kind of. Like, one of the things that comes with problems is interesting work, and
Yeah.
I I don't
I
know
mean,
too many IT people that want boring work, right?
no. I mean, I don't want to be a firefighter, but at the same time, I want to be able to fix interesting problems. So, yeah.
Yeah, auto mechanic is more fun than smoke jumper.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I guess if you're into that kind of thing, right? Like, and
yeah. I mean, even that depends.
right, like, don't get me wrong, like, being able to be involved in like a high pressure, high delivery situation and being able to deliver in those, that
Yeah.
feels kind of awesome, right? Like, that's a rush.
Well, yeah.
Um,
But at the same time, if I ever got to the point where I was done, like
right.
I've made every change I needed to make. Everything is perfect to my standards now. All right, well, time to start shopping that resume.
Right.
Well, I don't know. At least I left a good situation for the next guy.
Can you ever really get done though?
No, never. I mean, 12 years at one place and not even close.
So I
Because
looked at
it was always one of the other issues. There's not enough time, not enough budget,
right.
not enough buy-in.
I'm going to get on one of my favorite topics, the topic of SRE. Google has
Ah,
invested in that that SRE movement. They've been doing it for substantively for like 6 years. Um, and their SRE engineers, their job is to spend 50% of their time reducing toil, right? Essentially,
okay.
50% of their time is supposed to be spent eliminating the work that they did this year, right? So that next year they're not doing the same things.
Like
Automation,
automation. Yeah.
streamlining, better tooling, those kinds of things. Like, that is what they do day in and day out. Um, and there are absolutely people that have been employed in that group the entire time. You can't tell me that when you have a group like that devoted to things, that they haven't like solved all of the problems that they had when they
No,
started.
because there's
Right.
always new problems.
Right. There
Yeah,
are always new problems. Like, the industry changes, innovation moves forward.
yeah,
Um, and like, with innovation comes new challenges. Kind of fun. Like,
yeah.
I I worked in a factory once. It was not fun.
I have two, and there's pluses and minuses.
Sure.
You get to
Sure.
go home at the end of the day.
Y- yeah. Yeah. You do.
We
Um,
don't.
True. Uh, I guess maybe tool and die would be good, right? Like, be a tool maker or a fabricator,
Yeah,
something where, like, okay, like,
yeah. It's
the the,
mentally stimulating,
the work is still
interesting.
interesting, right?
Yeah, you're solving new problems generally every day.
But you still get to go home at the end of the day.
Yeah, true.
Hard to take an end mill home with you.
It is, but SolidWorks probably runs at home though.
True.
I guess it depends on how involved you are.
Right. I mean, if you're if you're an industrial engineer or a tool designer, like, yeah, you're probably taking some of your work home from with you.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like, if you're the guy running the machine, you're probably not taking it home with you.
yeah. Yeah, probably not.
Even if you got a CNC mill or sitting at home. Like you're
Yeah.
not making the same grade of things. Like,
What'd you bring me?
Hard bag,
Ah, okay.
and there's no more.
Nope.
So enjoy it.
shopping list.
Yes. Well, now that I pretty much stopped drinking during the week, it goes a lot farther.
Fair enough.
So,
Uh,
well, I was
I feel.
expecting some sort of weight loss to follow that. That really
How'd that
hasn't
go?
happened yet.
No?
Well,
Okay.
a couple of pounds maybe.
I mean, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying a new experience. I just ate a peanut butter sandwich, and now I'm drinking Jameson Black Barrel.
Oh, which one? Oh,
Um,
Black Barrel. I was thinking Caskmates. Yeah.
let's see how
Yeah.
good's the camera tonight.
Yeah. Good enough.
This is my new fancy internet connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, higher speed.
Okay.
I haven't gotten the new firewall yet. Sitting on the fence, like I do.
It happens.
I did bite the bullet on new wireless, little TP Link.
Thank you.
So, which was straightforward enough to set up. So, as they should be.
Their stuff is actually pretty solid. I mean, it's not definitely not enterprise grade, but it works well. I use a couple of their small managed switches for little things around the house. So, like, I have a transit switch between my internet connections and my firewalls just to be able to distribute everything. And it's a little, maybe $50 8-port TP Link switch.
Yep.
Works just fine.
And that's the thing. Like, this is a decent quality, decent range, effectively access point, right? I can manage it on the web if I want to. Like, basically, like I can download my own little TP Link server if I wanted to, or I can get their whatever. They've got a wireless management unit, but none of the hardware is more than like $100-$150.
Yeah. That's not too bad.
No, and like for something that's actually solid, that's all right. Because man, you can sunk like $300, $400, $500 into something that's going to be just a pile of stinky poo.
Yeah, I'm running Ingenious at home. So I have one of their switches that you can run a wireless controller on. And it's also PoE Plus, and then I have Wi-Fi 6 access points. Well, only one right now. Need to expand that. But I don't know. I'm trying to decide whether I want to expand the Ingenious or try something additional. Just because it works fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not real thrilled with the frequency and quality of the firmware updates because there's basically been none in 2 years, and there's some things that are a little hokey.
Yeah.
So, because I got it. It was basically their first Wi-Fi 6 access point model, and it was when you could only buy like one directly from them, just as like a sample.
Okay.
So, I mean, they gave you a break on it, but yeah. I mean, are they committed? I don't know. So I might try something like Aruba Instant On.
Yeah, I looked at that. I looked at the Aruba Instant On, and I looked at the Meraki Go.
Yep.
And then I looked at the TP Link, and I compared the prices, and I'm like, yeah, I'm probably okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with TP Link. Also, like, as I've gone on record, I'm a fan of the Firewall product, and they've said like, hey, like they don't specifically recommend anything, but they've said we actually use at the office we use TP Link, and we're very happy with it. So, like, and they're their communities largely has said like, hey, this
Mhm.
stuff works with Firewall without any issue, so have at it.
Yeah.
Like there is a part of me that was tempted to like go with Google Mesh or one of
Google
the other.
Mesh, if you don't want to use it also as your router, starts
Right,
getting funky.
right,
It
and
really wants to take control of everything.
right, and that's the thing. I'm not willing to let Google do that for me. I'm
No.
willing to let Google do a lot of things for me, um, but um, probably because I'm willing to let Google do a lot of other things for me, I'm not willing to let them do that. I don't think you should ever let one company do everything. Just
No, they'd they'd have to have a hell of a product range, and theirs is just a mesh system. And
right.
in general, I not a fan of mesh systems. I'm gonna run a wire anyways, so don't try and do the silliness. Just
That's
because
kind of where I'm at.
the performance is always going to be subpar. Basically, every hop out from the egress node, you're cutting your speed in half and doubling your latency
Yeah,
if
I
you're
mean,
lucky.
there's some new interesting things they've done with Mesh, like the um, devoted subband for mesh control, right? So like you're not sharing bandwidth with the rest of the network, and your packets aren't getting in line for control signal. Um, but still, at the end of the day, like it's a mesh. Like just get a wire, right? And
Yeah,
I understand getting a wire isn't as easy for some people as it is for others. Like you and I have both done cabling work. It's
yeah,
we're comfortable with it. Um,
yeah,
that being said, like I'm totally comfortable with cabling work. Still takes me an hour or two.
yeah, yeah. I'm not. I am very comfortable with it. I am not very efficient with it.
Particularly in finished homes, right? Like
Oh yeah, because
punching new
I
holes and yeah.
yep.
I'll tell you
And
what,
the
everything I install in my house, the network jacks are at floor level.
well, see, you having a single level home, you just get to pop down to the basement everywhere.
Right, right.
Don't have that luxury.
Nope. Um, or I can pop up like I've got a couple of spots where I can fish to the attic and then I can pop down from the top too. But um yeah, I've done enough cabling work like where I've had to make it pretty and go into a wall and I don't like it. It's a lot of
Yeah.
work. It's my house,
Yeah.
man.
I've got the air plenums in the front and back of my house, but I do not. Yes, I have an attic, but because of how the airspace works, it's basically like a crawl space up there. I'd have to shimmy around up there. No, I'm no.
I mean, mine is effectively that way too. I live in a ranch, right?
Yeah,
And while there's parts of it where I could probably stand up, um, I don't wanna.
yeah,
Me and me and a bunch of old lumber crawling around over the top of the insulation.
yeah.
Not my favorite thing to do, but
Nope.
yeah, I'm
Uh,
much more likely to just go into the basement and be like, "Yep, that's where the hole goes."
mhm.
Eek. And I've
We
never
do have
put a
some
hole in the
cool
middle of a
too.
room.
Oh, that's good. I've I have while I was in the ceiling
Fair enough.
walls walls that were offset from upstairs
Uh-huh.
to downstairs by
Uh-huh.
about 4 inches. Like, oh, we can just pop down through here. We'll run all the way down to the basement.
Uh-huh.
Hey, are you supposed to be coming out in the middle of the dining room? Well, it wasn't the middle, but yeah, you're a
Right.
couple inches from the wall, and like, ah, shit. Well, that's fun.
I I helped some people run some cable in their small, very tight split level in Milwaukee. And oh yeah. I was like, ah, finally, daylight. Went and just checked. I'm like, oh, that's daylight from where I'm coming through the wall, where I didn't want to come through the wall.
See, when I do finally get a chance to build the house of my dreams, if that ever happens, there's gonna be some like 4 inch Schedule 80 running all over the house with pull strings and appropriately placed boxes to pop into.
Wide
Yeah.
radius bends. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Long
Uh,
sweeps.
nothing worse than like a short, tight bend. Like I'm I'm trying to decide if it's worse going through an electrical box or just like a short, tight bend. I think the short, tight bend is worse. Like what you can get away with in a um like weirdly coupling two pieces of conduit together.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
conduit joints never work right. And
A lot can catch on that.
yeah. Worst feeling in the world is like pulling and suddenly it pulls free and you're like, I got it. And then you pull again, you're like, no, I pulled my fish tape out or
Yeah.
my pull tape through.
Yeah. Or my pull string came through just fine, but now the fiber is catching on something because I'm
Right.
a freak and run fiber.
Hey, everybody's got to
Yeah.
have hobbies.
Yeah. And actually, so up to my office here, I ran AOCs. So like 15-meter AOCs down to the basement. So I had a SFP Plus to deal with as well. Well, two of them. So that's even more fun to pull without breaking. And there's nothing good to grab onto.
That is
Not
true.
like Cat 5 where you can just wrap it up with duct tape or gaff tape or whatever you want and just yank the shit out of it. And you cut the end off.
Right.
Don't
Well,
have that option.
I definitely stretched the first 10 feet. Just get rid of that.
Yeah, that twist rate isn't up to spec anymore.
Yep, can't do that with AOC.
Nope.
So clearly, Brian's hobby is self-punishment.
Yes, it is. Well, I wanted 10 gig at my two workstations, so that's what I had to do.
Fair enough. Couldn't get that with wireless?
No.
Just kidding.
It doesn't move, it gets a wire.
I mean,
If it
let's
doesn't
be
work,
honest.
if it doesn't move and I'm using it, it's probably getting fiber. Or an AOC, or I'm a little too far for Twin X.
I mean, come on.
But still, AOC is fine at 15 meters. And it's relatively cheap. Did everything from fs.com. My little micro tick switch, 10 gig and 40 gig. Does the job.
We keep dropping names on these companies. We ought to get sponsorship. Let's see how many times we have to. What's our viewership right now, Brian?
1.
1. I think I know who that is. Hi, Katie.
Probably not. I don't even think she watches anymore.
Oh, that's sad.
Hey,
Well,
whoever's watching comments, so I know who the
right,
hell you are.
solo viewer. We want to know who you are. If it's the soothing sounds of our voice, we take requests.
Like and subscribe. We'll do a duet.
Oh, yeah. Here's
Not
what we're
Sondheim,
missing.
though.
I mean, we could try.
Okay.
So it's not the sound of our voice. It's just good friends. That's all right. So other things that I've been doing in my life.
Well, it's been 2 weeks because we had Easter, and then what the hell was this weekend? I was busy doing something. I can't remember what. Or were you? Oh, you were busy because you were wrapping up
I
the
was
show.
busy. Yep.
Yeah.
So for those of you that aren't familiar with musical theater or theater in general, unless you're a touring company, when you're done with a show, you take it all apart as quickly as possible. We call it strike. So I had strike after the show on Sunday. We got it all done by 7:30 or so. And I was good and exhausted. It was a lot. But yeah, I also worked on getting a DCP playing computer up and running.
Oh,
DCP is a weird format, man.
is it working now? Or
Yeah. Like
did-
I got audio and video out of it, and of course all the software packages out there. There's like two. There's one that's actually free. VLC will play DCP apparently.
okay.
Just not well.
Mm.
At least I haven't tried it. I may actually give it a whirl because
Yeah,
like
give it a
VLC is
whirl.
pretty good. I paid the $60 for a 1 month license for a more fully fledged package. And between VLC and that, I'm hoping that I get what I need because the next step up is like 300 pounds. So like 420
Yeah.
or thereabouts. Like not what I'm looking to just dump on the
No.
ground for a
Yeah.
3-day film festival. If you're in the Milwaukee area, the CelticMKE Film Festival is occurring this May. Check it out. Find it on Facebook.
And where is it going to be at?
At the Celtic Milwaukee Center. So look up CelticMKE, and you'll find it. It's in Tosa. Plenty of nice places there to get drinks and whatnot. So, what were you going to say?
There is. Oh, yeah. Nice place. There's stuff
Mhm.
within walking distance. A couple of bars, a couple of restaurants. You figure out what your connectivity to the projector is?
HDMI.
Oh, okay. That's not too
So,
bad.
yeah, I've got the mini display port to HDMI adapters. Me and Amazon, and $20. So
Yep, that's not too bad.
apparently those
Cool.
are common enough of a need that there's an Amazon Basics version of them. So
Yeah. That's good. That helps. Plus, they tend to have those in stock.
Yep.
And while they're not always the best you can get, they usually will do the job. They will almost always do the job acceptably. They're not going to be like the Cadillac version, but it's not going to be the no-name Chinese that it shows up and it may or may not work.
Right. Like it's going to do what it says.
Yes. Does what it says on the tin.
Right. Pretty reliably and at least for a couple of years. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want more than that? Well, then, go ahead and roll your dice on your Cadillac. Like, are you paying for marketing? Are you paying for quality? Tough to say.
Yeah. Do you have to do anything funny with that workstation to get it working? Or did
I
it
had
end
to-
up with normal?
I had to leave it alone. Apparently, it just needed to be left alone for a little while. Apart from that, it's worked like a champ. Downloaded a new update, an update to the video driver. One of the DCP packages that I downloaded had a thing where it goes and checks all of the hardware, and it popped up a little report like, hey, consider updating to this version of the NVIDIA driver for better performance. I was like,
Oh,
wow.
well, fair enough.
Of course, I couldn't make the audio work out of that package, so, not that good.
Yeah. Well, true. Yeah, I don't know if I actually updated that or if it was just the built-in Windows 10 drivers.
I think it was the built into Windows 10.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't put much effort into that thing. I stood it up, I put it on my internal domain, and then put it away for like 9 months. And then you needed it, so I dragged it out, booted it up. I was like, oh, this is on my domain. I should probably pull that off. Updated Windows, and then, looks good enough to me. Ship it.
Yep. Let's see here. 1, 2 weeks, I'll probably deliver it to the center, get everything hooked up, and then we'll play at least one movie on it.
Awesome. Do you know how big the movie is yet?
Nope. We got the download link over the weekend.
Okay.
So I will hopefully have a report on how big that download is soon.
I'm just hoping it fits on the SSD because it's probably going to be an obscene bit rate. So that hard drive that's in there.
Yeah, I like I said, if I gotta drop a few coin on another
And
SSD,
I'm sure I've got some stuff laying around too.
I'm
So
sure you do. So if
we'll
you
figure it out.
all one viewership, if you want to come see the work of Brian and I cobbling together a workstation to adequately display reasonably high quality DCP product for a film festival, come check it out.
Yeah.
Buy the package deal. Take your girlfriend, wife, whatever, both.
Yeah. He's only got a girlfriend.
I mean, what better way for your wife and your girlfriend to meet than at a film festival?
Yeah. That's doesn't sound ideal.
It's an arts event. It's dark. And since
What
it's an
else has
Irish
happened?
thing, there's like,
Oh,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what else has happened in the last 2 weeks?
Oh, Elon.
And-
Elon
Yeah, we
doing
had
his thing.
interesting stuff today. I mean, well, especially today. I mean, shit. I mean, it's kind of tech news, but not really. I mean,
So
some
go
of the
ahead.
fallout from that could be. I mean, just because he does want to open source some of the stuff,
Mhm.
that could be interesting. At least open sourcing the algorithms and actually letting people get more visibility into what's happening, so they know when they're shadow banned. Well, hopefully that would not be happening anymore, but who knows? We really don't know which direction anything's going to go.
I think for all that he's clearly a strong, pretty traditional capitalist. And I think if he were to align with a group most strongly today, it would probably be the libertarians, which bodes well for things like not shadow banning people, right?
Yeah.
Although just because you own a company doesn't mean you can change the way that it's been printed, right? Like there's a lot of entrenched stuff at a place like Twitter.
There is.
On the plus side, Twitter's always been a pretty nimble, relatively small company for its impact. Like their product is pretty straightforward, pretty stripped down. It's not like an Amazon or a Facebook or something like that, or heaven forbid a Microsoft. But what I think is going to be the most interesting thing is going to be, at least initially, largely a competitive thing. I think he wants a platform to compete with Zuckerberg. Because if I had to read my crystal ball, I would say that Elon Musk, more than anybody else in the tech industry, dislikes Mark Zuckerberg and what he's brought to the planet.
Doesn't everyone? Is there anybody that actually likes Zuckerberg?
I don't know if anybody likes Zuckerberg, but there are a lot of people, based on usage, that really like his product, or at least are not willing to put forth the effort to kick the habit.
They like the platform that delivers his product, because his product are the users.
If only they knew that.
Well, yes, they do not know that. Majority of them do not know that.
Like, here's the thing. I like my free Google services. And I know that I'm making a financial transaction with them. I'm not getting any money, but I'm getting stuff out of it.
And you know what they're getting out of it.
Right. With Facebook, I know that what I'm getting out of that equation is an attempt to addict me to giving them more.
Yes.
And I'm just not interested. Like,
Yeah.
there was, let's see here. There was
Your
a group
attempts
that I
to
was
lure
interested
me in with dopamine are too transparent to actually work.
Yeah. And they've gotten better. Like they understand that I'm a harder nut to crack. So it takes them a good 30 seconds before like my feed starts to go off the rails and starts to be like, well, just scroll a little more, just a little more. Yeah. Yeah.
The main reason I scroll now is to hide more things. Because now, like, groups and people that I follow, on some days, it'll be maybe a quarter of the posts will be from people that I actually follow. It'll all be suggested shit or just straight up ads. It's like, huh, X, X, X. If you suggest it to me, it's going to get an X. And they
Fair
probably
enough.
get a hit for that. I hope they do.
If I could figure out a way just wreck that algorithm effectively, I
Ooh, I
would.
should just start reporting everything that they suggest to me. Reported, reported, reported. I mean,
I'm
people,
gonna.
well, maybe not people, but algorithms keep reporting me and keep hitting me with
You,
the ban hammer. Screw them.
you know what you got to do is you gotta fish that though. Like you have to like not just salary report. You have to go click on everything so that they can build a profile. Like, oh, you're interested in that? Okay, great. You're gonna just suggest
Click
more
on
of that.
every
Great.
single ad
Right. Like for like a week, right? Um,
and then start blocking them.
and then start blocking them. And like for 2 or 3 weeks.
Or reporting, not just blocking, report. Report
Right.
and block.
Right.
This is
Um,
hugely offensive.
and if you muster enough support around it, the algorithm will do something about it. And then they'll have to change the algorithm in a way that's basically impossible. Pretty sure you'll wreck the platform.
Yeah.
That could be really cool.
Help. I don't have time for that kind of bullshit.
I know. It's too bad our viewership is so small.
Well, it's funny because
W2K, you've got work to do.
yeah.
Just saying.
Well, because like I've been spending more and more time on Reddit, which I'd mostly written off shit almost 10 years ago. I don't know, it was a long ass time ago.
Don't worry, you'll write it off again.
But well,
It
now it's tech subs, it's crypto.
right.
It's crypto, it's networking, it's network security, it's
Sure.
sysadmin stuff. It's all useful stuff. And then I keep seeing people with problems and I can't help but kind of jump in there.
If you
That
see a problem, you solve it. Check out the
yes.
mic while the DJ.
Yes, exactly.
You come in, boom, the volcano's got you. Because you should. So speaking of crypto, what's new in the crypto world?
Nothing. Everything's just kind of humming along, waiting for the merge on Ethereum, which I don't know. We'll see. It may be this summer. It shouldn't be much later than that. I've heard dates in July, but there's no official date.
Sure.
So
Is that
from
a
friends that
saturation
work
thing?
at places.
Sure.
What's that?
Is that a saturation thing or is that a software challenge?
It software, yeah. So it's switching from proof of stake to proof of work, from proof of work to proof of stake. So it's basically taking all the workload that's currently on the proof of work and shifting it
Okay.
over. So the proof of stake will be the authoritative for all transactions.
Cool
So, I mean,
beans.
I've been running it for a year and a half now. Well, since December of 2020. So, but there's no actual transactions that take place on it right now. So the merge is when all that stuff gets shifted into the beacon chain, which is
Okay.
proof of stake. So hopefully that will correlate to a whole lot more interest and money.
Yeah, the
I'm still not going to
interesting
sell any of it, but I don't know.
um the interest train is interesting. Like I feel like it's going to take a lot to get another big bump in interest.
Yeah, we'll see. It seems to go in waves,
Yeah.
and we're
Um,
just kind of in a cool period right now because really Ethereum's just been kind of dancing right around 3K. It'll go up a little, it'll go down a little, but that kind of seems to be the the trend line. Same with Bitcoin. It's just kind of chilling right around 40K. So,
which, you know,
oh,
if
well,
you
yeah. Either of those compared to 2 years ago is insane.
right.
So, it's only boring because it being stable again is new. Whereas there was a 3-year long crypto winter where everything just kind of chilled. I don't think we'll ever see anything that long again,
I don't think so
but
either. I mean, so I think the institutional investors need to get bored and try to make their money elsewhere for a little while,
the
which will take some money out of the market. But
and the SEC needs to shit or get off the pot. So,
they
like
don't.
the big case right now was with XRP, which is clearly a security.
Mhm.
There's no doubt about it. But they have a lot of money. They have a lot of lawyers. They will probably win. But just having the case
Eh,
resolved,
I don't know.
it just needs to be resolved. Let's put it that way.
Who's the other side of that case?
Well, the SEC.
Right. They're not going to win. They may win the legal battle, but like from an investing like money battle, they will lose. Because even if they win, the SEC is just going to go back to the government at that point and say, yes, our regulatory stance is not strong enough on this, change it. And then they lose. And
Yeah, maybe.
like Congress will listen to them.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of just how quickly that death knell is sounded.
Yeah.
But you're right. Resolving the case is important.
Well, because it leaves this fog over the entire crypto landscape.
Right.
Because if they all of a sudden decide that, well, fuck it, this is too hard of a decision to make, we're just going to call everything a security. Well, that's not true either, and that would cut out a shit ton of people.
Yeah. Exactly. Like
It's also holding up things like crypto ETFs and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
I mean, they're being very slow to approve that kind of stuff. And that's also fostering not insecurity, but uncertainty.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. Hopefully soon. One way or the other, there needs to be a resolution.
Agreed. Like if you're going to take it into court, figure it out quick.
Yeah.
Ooh, we have a second viewer.
Oh.
Or at least a second commenter. I don't know if they're viewing.
Yeah.
Oh, what else has been interesting? You posted an interesting set of articles.
Yeah.
Let's
let's
talk about poor IT decisions.
Yeah, so that's actually one of the things I stumbled across on Reddit. It was the local business almost goes under after firing all, well, it's IT employees. They basically cleared out their department, their IT. Yeah, well, what do we need these guys for? Everything's running.
Right.
You don't need them anymore. Yeah, everything stayed relatively running for about 2 months, and then everything collapsed.
See, what that tells me is it was so there's the possibility that like everything wasn't running and they were just angry and like just canned the department, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that it ran for 2 months after they canned the department tells me that it was running, right? Like
Yeah,
you canned a good department. Maybe not great,
but
but maybe
good
like
enough. And it
2
wasn't a
months is
huge
pretty good.
department. If I remember right, it was only 7 people in the
Right.
department.
Right.
So clearly not a huge company. and if I remember right, they were able to pull back in 2 of the people, which their dumbasses came back for only twice what they were making previously, which not a chance in hell. You're paying consultant rates now.
just consultant rates? Like,
Well, plus you're a dumbass. I need to make up for 2 months of wages
The only-
surcharge.
right. They just kept fishing money out there for people, and eventually somebody's like, you know what? Fine.
Yeah.
2 times is better than I had before. Like, that level of seriously though, if you're ever part of that, make sure you're asking for more. You may not get it, but have a sense of pride and resilience for the rest of the industry. In fact, we should start a fund.
Shared that Reddit post. And so, I mean, this is an extreme example, but it's not that dissimilar to the cycle of outsourcing and insourcing that a lot of companies go
Yep.
through. They get promised that they can outsource to India or Vietnam or wherever else, the Philippines. I'm trying to think of where else is big these days. But they get sold on, oh, this is going to save you so much money. And it never ends up being the case.
So the economics of the traditional offshoring powerhouses, India, the Philippines, Singapore, like the economics in those places is making it less likely that you can like quickly and easily offshore anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like those people have been making money and working towards like a Western mid-class life for 10,
Oh, yeah.
15 years now, right?
Absolutely. And I count that as a good thing.
Absolutely. I'm trying really hard to think of a place where you could offshore today because they haven't made that much progress. And at first, my first thought was like China, and then I remember, no,
Nope.
not China. Like
Can't afford it anymore.
right. Well, just in the graft that you have to pay to the government, right? Or the government. And then it's like, okay, is it sub-Saharan Africa? Like, that's it. That's all that's
Maybe.
left.
I mean, there's
But
there's a few Anglophone
Mhm.
countries in Africa.
The challenge
They
is
don't.
like
I don't know. They probably don't have. They much of it doesn't have the infrastructure.
exactly.
Yeah,
The,
yeah.
the
And as Katie just mentioned, internet. That was even a big problem in India when a lot of people had to start working from home because of COVID.
right,
Because now you have a lot of people that previously might have been relying on like hotspot of their phone or just using their phone. Now all of a sudden they have to work from home. That was a big problem for a lot of companies that outsource there.
right. When
And
you look
a
at
lot of this isn't even costs, it's what's being offered, what's being bought. So, like most of these outsourcing firms, if you tell them these are our run books, we will tell you when to do them. They will do that flawlessly, but they're not going to care. Let's put it that way.
no,
they're
no,
not
they're
going to be
not.
watching your alerts at 3 a.m. and know what to do or know how to react to new situations because that's not what they're being paid for.
Right.
They don't. That's outside of their scope. That's something that actual on-site employee does.
They
They're not going to be able to determine new projects that need to be done. They
right.
they don't they don't care. That's not what they're getting paid to do.
Correct.
And that's that big gap between what executives think they're buying and what an actual on staff or
I mean,
on site staff, or even an MSP. A good MSP will be able to do most of this, and for a lot of companies, that is the right decision.
Sure.
But
If you're questioning whether or not you have enough work for a full-time IT staff, because let's be honest, you can't have one. I mean, you can, but it's
it,
awful.
so if you just have one, when you're beyond a certain size, which is pretty small, you're at best a consultant wrangler. I
Right.
mean, you're not going to have time to do anything else.
Or you don't ever really get to take vacation.
Well, yeah, and that's a horrible place to be. I've been there.
Yep.
Yeah, that sucks.
So
But
yeah,
what
like,
if you're in
can
that
you
middle
justify 2
ground?
head count?
Yeah, or 1 or 2 head count and a good MSP that, yeah, or local managed service. Yeah.
Yep.
So someone that can like fill in the gaps
And
and basically act like a contractor, but maybe not as much time, but like extra people to bring in for project work or whatever. There's always going to be stuff that needs to get done. And there's a big gap between when you're starting to build a department. There's a big difference between going from 1 to 2 versus 10 to 11.
right.
I mean, how many things is that person expected to be able to know?
Too many.
Well, yeah, too many.
And honestly, a lot of the people that fall into that position are growing organically, which is great. Like, they learn the environment really well. They pick up the skill sets they need. They hire a consult where they have to. Everybody wrings their hands about hiring that consultant at that point because, like,
Yeah.
well, we spent our consulting money hiring you,
Well,
right?
and they need to understand that that's the cost. Hiring that consultant or getting time with the MSP, that's the cost of not having that full-time employee.
Right. Right.
And there are
Or
advantages
the
to having
second
that
full-time
capacity
employee.
surge, because then you can bring people on. Well, especially so, even if you're not doing a ton of work with that MSP, having them like onboarded where they know your environment and they can come in and actively work versus, well, we need to hire somebody new. We hire them now, and in 3 months they're going to be useful, maybe.
Right. I mean, you're going to spend the same time onboarding the MSP, right?
Yes, but you do it
Like,
once, and hopefully they did documentation to be
eh,
able to spin their own people up.
I've yeah, having worked for an MSP and been on both sides of that transition, it takes time, right? Like, you bring a new person onto an account at an MSP, like, hopefully they're qualified professionals. They're, you know, it's still going to take a month or two to learn that.
Yeah. So, Katie, let me tell you how well it goes long term with no one working in IT and a small micro business piecemealing IT hardware and networks together cost. Yeah. Their ideas on what works within a very limited scope can work, but you can only keep getting Netgear routers from Best Buy and daisy chaining them for so long, which I know is something that Catherine has seen.
I
Like,
mean,
all the people connected to this router can talk to each other, but people connected to the next router, they can talk one direction, but the other people can't talk to, and they can't print off their computers, and everyone was all confused about what was going on. Well, yeah, well, they basically just took regular old Linksys, D-Link, whatever off the shelf Shoho home user routers and just daisy chained them all.
it was the
And
best one they
everyone,
had. The Best
yeah,
Buy guy said it was the best one they had.
yeah. And then that last guy on quadruple NAT. Yeah,
Absolutely. Like, there's a lot of
yes.
horrible things you can do um to your uh uh
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Trying to get somebody, especially those smaller businesses, I get it. You're not going to be able to have somebody on staff. Best case scenario, you have a power user that has an accurate gauging of what their own skill set is. And then
Yes.
you get an MSP for everything else.
Right.
And a good MSP will set you up to be able to bring somebody in on site permanently.
Right.
When you get to that, when you're ready for that, everything will be in shape to be able to get on board. Plus, you'll have that safety net of that MSP that already knows your environment. So maybe that first person doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Or maybe it takes them longer to get spun up than you think.
One of the interesting things that I encountered in my MSP days were the businesses that decided they're going to finally have a tech person, like an IT person, but only part-time. So then they'd ask the MSP to help spin up this part-time person who either was from somewhere else in the company or had a partial skill set. But inevitably, whatever workload they were given outside of IT would start to dominate their life because there was nobody representing the IT at the table. And
No.
like, oh, I've got XYZ to do today. And like half of that is not IT work and half of it is IT work. The inevitable answer is, well, we'll just have the MSP take care of it when they're here next. We really need this right now. And like this grand dream of eventually we'll have our own IT person and not need the MSP as much is just shot all to hell.
Yeah.
Well,
that whole no representation of the IT department, I mean, that's going to be an issue until you're 4, 5, 6 people, and you can actually justify having like an IT manager, or if you're lucky, like a director. I mean, until you get to that threshold.
Businesses that are small enough to only need one IT person that have directors.
That's
I
also
got
a
to question
mistake.
why you have directors like
Well, and
titles.
usually it's title inflation at that point, almost always.
Right. I mean, I'm not knocking people that get titles that are like that in their environment are appropriate to what they're doing. And maybe the environment is super complex and you totally like everybody is a director. I don't know.
But unlikely.
It's unlikely. I actually know one where there are directors in a really small organization that actually deserve the title, given the complexity of the workloads that they take on.
Yeah.
But for
Yeah,
the most part,
I've also known people that have been in IT like weeks, and now they're a director
uh-huh,
because they are
uh-huh,
the only IT person.
right. Um, what I would say is just like any other uh, major business discipline, IT needs to have a seat at the table. Um, if you're running a small business with 15 people and you finally hire an IT person because you need them, or maybe you're a business with 50 people and you get your first full-time IT person. I don't care if that person reports to the accounting department, to your CIO, controller, whatever it is. You got to have that IT person at the table. They need to be talking to you about what you need because you're not going to get it from anybody but a subject matter expert. And like in IT, if you're small enough, the person that runs your like one server and 6 desktop computers is the subject matter expert. Have them in the room.
Yeah. See, this is another problem. We just had an MSP customer come back from a one-man band who charged less hourly but was never available. Made them buy all new equipment. We installed new stuff the year before and over IT'd. Yeah, that's another. It's also I mean, the business needs to choose the right path and choose the right MSP, because there are little dude working out of his basement. I mean, some of those guys are great. I guarantee some of those guys are great. But are they going to be able to serve all your needs? I don't know. Maybe.
That's
But
correct.
then sometimes you run into a situation like this. I think I remember hearing about this one, but not 100% sure. But yeah, if they had all new equipment, what are they buying all new stuff again? Did they really save any money? And yeah, I mean,
And this is the icing on the cake. Like,
maybe, but I have a feeling just from the other information we have that was not the right path. I mean, I am personally of the opinion that almost everything should be virtualized. Makes your life way easier in the long run. But this campground that probably had one server, and it was probably just a file and print share. Yeah, two men in a shed, billing like lawyers.
absolutely.
Yeah, but people think they're saving a bundle, but then they have somebody that well, like in this case, never have any availability. Okay, yeah, your hourly rate is lower, but what happens when you actually have a project and you have stuff that needs to get done? You have that urgent phone call you need to make to them because stuff's down. Oh, they're at their day job. Well,
You had
what
better
good was that slightly lower? Oh, go ahead.
that person had better have strong familial relationships with you, right? Like, I full disclosure, I did IT service for my mom at her chiropractic office for many years. But you know what happens when my mom calls me and says that her computer system's down? I go and I tell my boss, "Yeah, I got to go fix my mom's computers."
Yeah.
Like, and you know what every boss on the planet says at that point? Like, "Oh yeah, you got to go." Cuz like mom trumps everything. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, and that's a different situation. I have a feeling that this Yahoo was probably working some day job that may not even been a computer job, and
Right.
this is
Oh,
his side gig,
I know
and
something about computers.
he took on a customer that he is not big enough to handle.
Correct. Correct.
So it
And that's
went back to where my wife works. So,
yep.
which is an appropriately sized business.
Yes. It's tough. Like if you're just trying to break into the industry, I get it. It's super tempting to get out there and get the customers. And like you're hoping to build it. Or maybe like you used to do it and like you just want a little bit of side work. You don't want to work that hard anymore. Like do yourself and everybody in the industry a favor and don't push it. Don't oversell yourself. Don't overbook yourself. Because nobody's going to end up happy. You're just going to waste money.
Well, and these days you may well end up getting yourself sued.
True. Because while those people are billing like lawyers, lawyers are starting to bill like IT people if they're hungry enough for customers. Yeah. So don't do it. Now, the other interesting thing you brought up, not to completely segue off
Oh
of
yeah.
things, is artificially shrunken IT departments. What was that company? Octopus Energy?
Yeah, that was some people had pointed out this particular company. It's a
Yeah.
billion-pound company that has no IT department.
I mean,
But now they have a
sort
job
of.
listing for like a they want somebody that can do absolutely everything, and they only want to pay them. I think it was like 36K.
Uh,
Like,
it was a no.
you're a billion-dollar company or a billion-pound company.
I looked at it. It's
That
63 to. It was a little lower. I think it topped out just under 90 pound. Um, no, I did the dollar conversion. It worked out
okay.
to be about $60K to $90K
Okay.
US dollars
Yeah.
in London. You have
Yeah,
to be on
no.
site.
Yeah. Nope. Hard pass.
And
And
I was like,
and then you have to look at the red flags surrounding this company that brags about not having any IT staff. You really think you're going to get the resources you need to be able to do your job effectively? Hell no. That's not going to happen.
I think my favorite thing from the job description is like, we're looking for somebody who's interested in complex problems and new ways to solve them. Like,
Oh, yeah.
wait, by new ways, do you mean like not spending any money? Because that's not new.
JB Weld and threaded rod holds the whole place together.
You can do some of my best computing with JB Weld and threaded rod.
Well, they're good to have in your toolkit, but if that's the only thing in your toolkit, it's gonna suck. I'm sorry, it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
And this, no.
The best part is I could tell that a marketing department wrote the job description.
Yeah, it was like
Okay.
a week ago when I read this. Now I remember.
You,
Oh no, it was just Saturday.
Yeah.
Wow, it feels like a week ago.
Here, this is a pig. Could you put some lipstick on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
I'm sure there's somebody that's going to go there and, well, I'm sure there's somebody that's going to go there.
It's going to be somebody fresh-faced and full of hope, and they're going to get ground into the dirt. They will not have the fortitude to stand up for themselves.
They're going to get made into pink IT person paste.
Yeah,
just
basically.
like put them in the mill. Just...
Yeah.
Next, please.
Dirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's definitely companies. Hell, there's bigger companies that have large IT departments that do that to their people. That doesn't make it any better, but I mean, it happens both ways. But
it does.
All the red flags are on this one. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot cattle prod.
So here's something I've never heard of is IT people in Facebook. I know they exist, but you just don't hear about it. Like you hear about people that go to work for Google or Microsoft or Dell, Cisco, whatever, but you don't.
They were the ones running the angle grinders after the big Facebook outage.
Okay. Other duties as assigned.
Yeah, other duties as assigned. Here you go.
I gotta wonder if on the selection criteria now at Facebook it includes ability to handle hand tools.
Like, even if it's only as a joke, it should be on there. If anyone
this is the company
even
that
including Zuckerberg has any sense of humor. I know he's a reptilian, but if he has any sort of sense of humor that he's grafted into his genes,
that's insulting to the reptilians, Brian.
Yeah, I know.
No, like
yeah, we talked about that when it happened, William. That was hilarious. Like, there's one thing to drink your own Kool-Aid, and then there's being so dependent on your own systems where if some little hiccup happens, you can't even get into your building anymore. Come on, dude.
Yeah. I mean, so part of it stinks to high heaven of like that thing where somebody on high like is paranoid and demands some unreasonable security posture. Like, no, I'm the only one who can have the keys. And then they come and like, I lost the keys. Can you get me in? Like,
no, I did what you asked.
I tried to tell you that this was a bad idea and you insisted. And, after you threatened my job twice, I finally complied. Right? Like,
yeah. Or so an example is one company I've done work for. They had everything locked down, so any management functions they could only do from VDIs.
Okay.
Guess what happened when Citrix was down?
Uh-huh. I don't have to.
Nobody
I've
could.
been through this. I've been through this.
Yes. Like, well, that was not a wise decision. I big proponent of security. Don't lock yourself out. Give yourself a way in. There should be some, and you should know what your environment looks like when it's coming back up from face down in the dirt.
Yes. The problem is, and
What?
like, I agree with you, right? But you're never going to know that, because when you are coming back from face down in the dirt, it's inevitably because something went wrong. When are you ever going to get a business to decide to take a planned outage so you can learn what your system looks like from being face down in the dirt? And when you tell them, well, like, we want to make sure that we can come back gracefully, their response is going to be like, we'll just make sure it never happens. They're
But
never going
that's
to
not
get the message.
reasonable.
Right. Doesn't matter if it's reasonable. We all know that.
At some point, somebody is going to have to take a whole data center down. What does that look like? Especially, what does it look like bringing it back up? What precisely is the order?
This is continuity planning, right? And this
Yeah.
is
Oh, yeah.
like
Oh, absolutely.
many businesses ostensibly embrace continuity planning, but up to a point. When you tell them, like, no, we want to do full on disaster recovery, like, we want to do a run through, we want to turn it off ourselves, they look
Yeah.
at you like, why? Why would you do that?
You know it works.
Because I would rather do it under my control than when it's not.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey,
control the variables.
when I'm deploying new firewalls, the last thing I do is testing. I'm going to start pulling power plugs. I'm going to start pulling cables. Let's see what happens. Let's see what the failure modes actually look like. I want to
Right.
make sure that this thing fails over, fails back, everything's beautiful. Whether it's a nice failover, because telling something to fail over is a lot different than yanking a power cord.
It's not a failover.
Yeah.
That's a graceful transition.
Yeah.
That's US elections in like circa 1950, right? Like, peaceful, graceful transition of power. Oh, you won. Here are the keys. Can I help you get started? Right? Like,
Oh,
this is not the French Revolution.
see, I don't know about bringing everything down every time you made large firewall changes, but it is good to know what everything behaves like when you're in weird situations that you may not see very often.
Interestingly enough, that the things that your company does badly are super educational.
Yeah, like learning how to make sure AD plays nice.
Yep.
Like make sure there's something still up to catch those rolls.
If you
Otherwise,
if you don't do a lot of outages and troubleshooting, it's really easy to get bad at it.
yeah.
Right? Like, you forget those skills sometimes.
Yeah.
Or like the staff you've got on hand doesn't know the environment well enough to really work the issue. Like, I don't want to say that people should create outages for themselves, but maybe they should. Like, have a little mini outage. You got a maintenance window, take it before you don't have maintenance windows. That's the crazy thing about the industry for me, is that we are rapidly moving towards a world where there are no maintenance windows anymore. Like, we're offshoring so much stuff.
If you don't have a maintenance window, you need to have enough redundancy where you can patch, update anything at any time.
Yep.
Those
And
are
you
your choices.
and you
Or
have
I
to
need a
inherit some risk.
window. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Gotta have window.
at a bare minimum, let's say an hour a month 4 hours a quarter, and an entire day per year. You may not always use it, but at a minimum, that hour a month, how are you going to patch otherwise? That's at least enough where you can kind of roll through equipment.
And it's all supposed to be redundant.
Yeah. Well,
This is how people end up in the cloud, because the cloud will tell them they can do that.
yes.
It's not true, but it's what they're going to
Yeah.
be told. When some executive sitting in a seat on an airplane reading about like how the cloud is wonderful and requires no downtime anymore, they're like, no.
Oh,
I
yeah.
read it. It's in Fortune. It's got to be true. I Googled it.
Mhm.
Well, we've been on this rant before.
Yep, we have been.
It bears repeating, though.
4 hours? What? Does it really take that long?
Oh no. It shouldn't.
Yeah.
It shouldn't.
It's been a while.
It
I've mostly
shouldn't.
been doing GCP and AWS these days. Ever since I left our mutual favorite place.
Oh. Yeah. You may as well post that one too, Brian. I do love me a product that when you submit something in the Azure portal, just says this will take up to 15 minutes or 45 minutes. And like, it's not it will take up to 15 minutes or up to 45 minutes. It's you have a span of time that is either 0 to 15 minutes or 45 minutes.
Yeah.
If it doesn't complete by 15 minutes, it will complete at the 45-minute mark.
Changes to the VPN portal in Azure were my least favorite.
Oh yeah, no, those are
First off, well, I mean, I don't know if anything's changed in the last 3 years, and probably has. But you had to do about half of it in PowerShell. Half of it you could only do in PowerShell. Half of it you could only do from the web interface, and it was fucking weird. There was stuff you could not do through PowerShell, so you had to bounce back and forth. And like the last step, you do in PowerShell, and it would just sit there, and sit there, and sit there, and 45 minutes to an hour, maybe longer. Oh yes, please.
Yeah, you need a. Okay.
I don't know because I have to go
One
cook
moment.
shortly.
Oh, you have to go cook?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Nope.
I have to provide a beverage.
Just one of those raised grades, top shelf door.
From the fridge.
We kicked it, made it go, but yeah. Up to 4 hours.
Yes, Azure Reef. William with all the gems.
Yes. William, you should really join us for a show. Like actually join us for a show.
or more than. We have so many things we could talk to you about.
I know. You've probably seen a lot of the same gremlins we have, so it would probably be fun.
Yes. I think William could very easily write a pithy but pointed and useful book for potential customers of Azure. Like, hey, you know what you shouldn't do? Azure. But if you find that you must.
Yes. Forget everything you know about networking. Because I came at it from a networking perspective, and they do things so weird. GCP is so much better.
Forget what you know about systems, too.
So is AWS. Yeah. See, that I didn't get much exposure to.
God.
I just heard the complaints.
So
So
there you go.
What kind of timeline you looking at tonight, Chris?
It sounds like you have to cook, and
Yeah, sort of.
I'm exhausted. So
Yeah.
I let's round her out in 5 minutes.
All right.
I hope we've got great viewership right now. I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel good.
If you count 2 as double digits, we got
I
double
do.
digits.
I do. That's 1, 2 digits. That's double digits. I'm gonna say something inappropriate here. My high school girlfriend thought so. Okay.
So for those that are actually listening, do Sundays work better or do weekdays work better? Does earlier? Does like 8 work better? Does later work better? I don't want to get too late, but
Yeah.
what
8, 8:30,
what
9. What do you think? Um,
because we kind of picked 8 p.m. on Sundays as just it seemed like it was a time that worked for us, and it's a time that that it seemed like it would work for other people that were in similar situations. So, but hey, I mean, yeah, finally got the notification you're live.
clearly, YouTube doesn't care enough about us to push our live notifications. Maybe we should go to TikTok, Brian.
No, God,
Their
no.
live notifications are pretty good.
I believe you.
All that Chinesium.
Well, and so I mean, not not TikTok, but we have talked about like throughout the week just doing short little, just 5 or 10 minutes, just talking about something that's going on,
We
either
should.
solo or together, just something updates throughout the week. I don't know because I always see this stuff and
And then yeah.
I'd rather rant on video than on Reddit. I mean,
See, if you rant on video, then you can post the link to Reddit.
ooh,
The
brilliant.
next time you send me an article or I send you one, we'll get on and do a thing. It may be
Okay.
cell phone, but we'll do it.
Oh yeah, the filters.
The filters. We
We
could be
could.
bunny eared
Yep, that's just what I was gonna say.
or
It's even seasonal.
it is.
So, I mean, does anybody have any feedback about days of the week that might work better or times? We're central, so keep that in mind. Glittery sparkles. Oh yeah, that's always fun.
Catfish filter. Uh, maybe we should put up a poll. I don't know how we do that, but
We don't have enough YouTube subscribers to. I think you need 200 to be able to do posts and polls.
jerks.
Stupid, and we have like I don't know, 22 or something.
I
We're
mean,
way short.
we are
Mostly because I don't have the appetite to shill.
right.
Seems
Well,
stupid to me.
also we are IT ops people. It is possible for us to generate
I
a
know.
couple, but it just takes so much time.
Yeah, it's scummy.
It is. This is our problem. We aren't scummy.
Yeah, I know. Whatever.
Someday somebody will cure us of that. Then one of us will be rich.
Yeah, probably neither of us.
Correct.
This will be inverted earnings for a long, long time.
It's investments. It's investment cost is what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
If nothing else, this gives me a chance to work on some of those soft skills I never actually had. Actually being able to talk and
and yeah, I get you.
just never my thing.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
I don't want to see you
Yes,
shaking your
Adam.
boobs. Or you know what? Maybe we should both like start to work the low
Oh
cut
yeah, a
cleavage.
little bit of cleavage. Oh, we'll do a show in a hot tub.
Done. Done. If not sooner, November.
Yeah. I'll have to get my hot tub up and going. The cameras and lights. All my neighbors will probably call the
Ooh.
cops. Think aliens are landing.
You just
I don't
gotta.
even know.
You get. I can make that happen. I can make that happen. Yeah, it'll be super fun.
Yeah.
We should
Hot
we should
tube
do
stream boys.
a
Oh jeez.
we should do a live with cocktails. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Need to get downstairs because I had to tear down my setup, at least for the camera downstairs, because I needed that to take to Jamaica, but I can get
Right.
that set back up.
All right. Well,
So
one of these. Now that I'm not theatering so crazily, I can probably make it over one of these days times. But those of you that are watching,
awesome.
if you want to throw a comment or a suggestion to us, one way or the other, I think most of you have ways to reach us other than on the comments on the YouTube channel. But feel free to hit us up there too. Let us know what you think, like days, times.
Yep.
We want to meet you where you live.
And William, you need to join us. You need to actually be on the show one of these days.
Absolutely.
I know you've watched a couple.
So,
yeah,
all
he's
right.
one of the people that from the Discord post a couple weeks ago. Oh
Mhm.
God, it was like a month ago now. So, all right. Well, it's time to be. Yep. Yeah. What William said. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Smash that like button.
Smash that like button.
Oh God, it probably does help. I'm just too stubborn. All right.
Ding, ding, ding. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Have a good
All
evening.
right. Thank you, everyone. See you next week. Man, let us know what days works because we can make something else work if Sundays aren't great, or hell, maybe Mondays are the day. We got more viewers and interaction than normal. So, yeah, let us know. Figure it out. Have a good night, everyone. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.